Derek Chauvin's trial will have $35 million security plan to tackle civil unrest, including building a perimeter around government buildings and bringing in hundreds of extra cops. Now that $35 million, I'm just going to speculate that that's probably going to be all Trump supporters. It's going to be another insurrection. That's why they've got to make sure to have all of that extra security there because, man, those Trump supporters, they really can tear stuff up, right? Jesus. How do we live with all those white supremacists out there? Well, thank goodness Minnesota's got that covered. They're going to make sure that no white supremacists try to intervene on Derek Chauvin's hat. Now, the MAGA people, when the MAGA flags, Trump supporters, better watch out. It's coming for you. The trial of Derek Chauvin, 44, is set for March 8th in Minneapolis. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz proposed a $35 million fund to pay for hundreds more police officers from across the state. It will also fund bringing in the National Guard if violent protests break out in the city during the trial. After, maybe if those Trump supporters don't get the verdict they want, huh? Trump supporters, you know what you're going to do? I've seen you. I saw you all in 2020. You were smashing up Minnesota, Minneapolis, smashing up Rochester, smashing up Chicago, Seattle, Portland, Molotov cocktails. Trump supporters clad in all black. They're all white, tearing up stuff. You better watch yourself, I'm telling you, Trumpsters. Rural Republicans have since resisted against the governor's plans to bail out Minneapolis. The city has voted to defund its police department. Last June, after Floyd's death, Minneapolis reportedly still owes other agencies $137,000 for their assistance combating rioting and looting last summer. And that's $137,000. That's not dollars. That's just play money. That's unicorns and rainbows that they owe for those mostly peaceful protests in the name of social justice. Rainbows and unicorns, baby. Police Chief Madaria Arredondo said the department is down to about 640 available officers. This is a long article. We're not going to get into the specifics of the case because they're going to tell you that in the article, and they're going to tell you about the summer and Floyd and everything like that just so they can fill space. As I said, here you are right away, filling space. As if anybody out there doesn't know the peaceful protests that went on in 2020. Look at nice folk, right? Everybody was like this. This is what I saw. Don't ask me how the $2 billion in damage, allegedly, at least, happened because everybody was like this. Mostly peaceful protests. 93% is what I hear. It says that's why our budget includes aid for local governments, from Centerville to St. Paul, for expenses that arise from extraordinary events. That's according to the governor. He said in a news conference on Wednesday that $35 million in state aid for emergencies account is needed for security plans that have been made for the trial months ago. March 8th, everybody, we get February 8th, March 8th. We've got some other things going on this year, trial-wise. As I talked about with Kyle Rittenhouse's upcoming case, there are a lot of things that are going to be going on in this year. We might get the Arbery case and the Rayshard Brooks case as well. Maybe. So it's going to be a year chock full of opportunities for Black Lives Matter and Antifa to go out there and peacefully burn down these cities. This is an opportunity for Minnesota to put a face forward to the world to show that we can protect First Amendment rights and we can make sure that public safety is adhered to, Walz said. The security plan will likely involve the National Guard and hundreds of officers from agencies across the state, Axios reported. Exact details of the security plan were not immediately clear, but there are also tasks of building a perimeter around the Hennepin County Government Center. Bob's barricades, probably not going to cut it. Maybe they should talk to the individuals that threw up the Iron Curtain around the White House. Rural Republicans have since resisted against the governor's plans, claiming their communities shouldn't be forced to bail out Minneapolis and St. Paul. Good point. Unfortunately, I think, when the state's doing this stuff, they're all in it together in a way. I don't know. We're not going to bail out Minneapolis City Council after they have made cuts to the public safety budget. said GOP Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka. Actions to defund the police have consequences. Actions have consequences. We learned that in 2020 as well. Gazelka, at a news conference on Thursday, added that too many communities did not get paid when they came to Minneapolis' aid throughout the summer, and that was the 137,000 worth of unicorns and rainbows. Stickers as well, the ones you can scratch and sniff that we learned out above. That's wrong. Minneapolis needs to make sure they can take care of their bills, he said. Gazelka's spokeswoman said the city still owes other law enforcement agencies 137 hugs and kisses. That's how we pay the bills these days, for their assistance last summer. Last June, the Minneapolis City Council, on Friday, unanimously passed a resolution to replace the city's police department with a community-led public safety system. I don't understand. What are they talking about? Last June? The Minneapolis City Council on Friday? What are they talking about? It's like, it almost seems like they cut pieces of the article from the past and then moved it into this one. Dozens of officers quit the force in protest at a $1 million budget cut and promises from city leaders to scrap the entire department. If they cut $1 million, shouldn't they have had 137,000 hugs and kisses to be able to pay those other agencies that bill they owe? Minneapolis then had to scramble to draft in cops from outside the city's force to help fight a wave of violent crime. So you're telling me that... Just work with me on this one. This one is perplexing. They cut officers, saved money, crime went up. Who would have thought? The city council, voted, I'd imagine that's supposed to be then voted, to refund the police. They refund the police, authorizing $500,000 in funding for the police department to hire more cops to work through the end of 2020. I love it. There's the photo there. There are the 4 individuals that are going to be on trial. And I talked about this a couple months ago, I believe it was. These 3 individuals here, it was J. Alexander Kung, Thomas Lane, and Tu Tao. Their trials were split off from Chauvin's. They were trying to try them all together. These 3 were split off. City officials later claimed that defund the police was not the framework the council has ever chosen. Minnesota state Republicans offered a counter-proposal to Walz's request for security funding on Thursday. The Republican proposal would target Minneapolis by requiring cities to pay for assistance provided by other local law enforcement agencies that send in personnel. Fair enough. Under the proposal, the state would divert money a city gets from the state's local government aid program to pay the bill if a city fails to reimburse those agencies for their help. The Republican plan contains no new money for trial-related security. Whew, that is interesting. I don't know. I get where they're coming from. I totally get where these suburbs or these more rural areas are coming from, as they refer to them here, to have no security if that verdict doesn't go the Trump supporters' way. Remember, the Trump supporters who are dressed in all black carrying the flags with that strange slogan on it. It doesn't say Trump. Something about some lives or something. If those all black clad Trump supporters don't get their way with this verdict, to revert to doing what they did in 2020. Smashing stuff, burning cities down. Pretty dangerous, if you ask me. In a series of tweets on Thursday, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, every time I think of that guy, I think about when they sent him packing. Go home, Jacob, go home. That's... said cities don't usually charge each other for help in a crisis, and that the city only received the 2 invoices for assistance last summer. Fry also pointed out the $617 million collected by the state from Minneapolis in sales tax alone in 2017 was nearly 100 more than the total amount of local government aid distributed by the state that same year. In other words, what the state collects from MPLS, Minneapolis in sales tax, that's not including income and property taxes, is enough to cover LGA for every municipality in the state, the mayor tweeted. In good times and tough times, our state works best when we all pull together. If those numbers are true, I'm not going to look into it, I'm not going to fact check him, but if those numbers are true, then I would have to side with him on that. If there really is some excess in the budget due to what they've taken in, then yeah, they should step up and help fund this, because it is going to be something. If that one side, you know what I'm talking about, if they don't get their way, they're going to do what they do, what we saw in 2020. Police Chief Arredondo notified the City Council Thursday that his department is down to about 640 available officers, 200 fewer than 2 years ago, yet that city still voted blue in 2020. Interesting. Attrition last year was down about 105 officers, compared to 40 to 44 in a typical year. The department's authorized strength is 888. Work with me here. Isn't that, I know it's 88, right? But you know your alphabet, right? If you know the old claims about the supreme type folk, it's an interesting number. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. 88. Usually, they added an extra 8 to it because they're extra racist. I love it. Woo! You got to find some fun in this stuff. That's all I've got, guys. You get the gist. It's going to be something. Definitely going to be keeping my eye on this. It looks like the article kind of wrapped up there. It's the last paragraph here if you want to check that out. Oh, goodness. We got to keep our eye on this because this is going to be something. 2021 could really turn out to be something if those people don't get their way. Oh, there was no justice. I've got no feeling on the way this is going to go. I've got some kind of thoughts about it, but I'm just going to sit back for now. And my thought being not any kind of bias in any way, but what I think will happen based on the charges that were levied against Chauvin. The other officers, honestly, I could see them getting off with not much more than a slap on the wrist, maybe a little bit of time. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it for now. I really think that, I'm going to say this, I really think if they don't have the security in place that there's going to be trouble. And it is going to be bad. That's all I got. Somebody in Australia says here, as if he will get a fair trial. See about that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and be well.